Whenever I'm out driving, I'm always on the lookout for unusual stuff. And today I'm on a sandy coastal track and it looks like we found something unusual. As I was coming along here, I noticed scattered on the road were all these sun-bleached shells. I knew straight away what it was, so we'll pull up and I'll show you what it is. Well, I was just driving along this sandy track and I've come across this area here where there's a whole heap of shells scattered all over the road. Well, what it actually is, it's a midden. Now, a midden is essentially an Aboriginal's rubbish dump. So I'd say here there was some sort of a camp, an Aboriginal camp, temporary one, I don't know, could have been months, could have been years, that they used this area as a place to stay for a while. And they would have caught all the shellfish at the beach and come back here and they would dump the shells in the one spot near their camp, away from the camp, but always in the one spot. All the shellfish and all the bones from the fish and pippies and whatnot. And what's happened here is that the bulldozers come through and smashed through it, not knowing that it was here or he couldn't see it or anything, and that's why it's sort of scattered along the road. And it looks like white gravel, but it's actually white shells and stuff that are years and years old, which is essentially an Aboriginal rubbish dump. You can see the odd shell there scattered on the road. I don't know how many people have driven past here and have no idea what it is. I only just stepped out of the truck and within a minute or two I found this great treat. Well, for me it's a big treat. I found a stone. Well, again, it's just not any old ordinary stone, it's an Aboriginal stone tool. We found several of them here at this site and I was just gobsmacked. So I've stepped out of the truck today here at this site here where this midden, and we found these flint stones, or what do you call them, little rocks that they used to cut stuff with. And what they got was what would they do is they would get a bigger stone and they would whack it, and when a sharp shard would come off, that was then what they would use to cut things. And we found 4 here so far. This is really amazing. I didn't expect to find any stone tools here. I'll take us to a really good midden on the Sunshine Coast. This one here has been knocked around by a bulldozer and just from time, and it probably wasn't real big. But we'll go and have a look at another real good one. I was so overwhelmed back there after finding those stone tools that I could hardly speak. I really only pulled up thinking I was just going to be looking at a midden, and then it turns out that I uncovered that. I can't stop thinking about why those stone tools were in that area. Were they in the midden? Were they chucked away like rubbish? Or were they stored nearby so when the Aboriginal people come back each year, they had their tools there nice and handy? I think that those stone tools were thrown into the midden because in time they had become blunt. So I used to think that all middens only had shells or bones in them, but it seems that they would throw away anything that they considered to be useless. However, in the past, early settlers used to raid those middens for a valuable commodity. Can you guess what that is? I'll tell you the answer a bit later on. I'm heading to the town of Bly Bly on the Sunshine Coast, where I'll pull into what's called Mulla Park. And Mulla Park is beside the Maroochy River, and the Maroochy River was a very reliable source of fresh seafood for the local Aborigines, the Gubbi Gubbi tribe, for many, many years. Here we are at Mulla Park. This site was a camp for the Aboriginal people for thousands of years. Being next to the Maroochy River, they would live off what the river provided. Along this river were several middens. There is a self-guided walk that tells stories about the local Aboriginal people, what they did, how they lived, and games they played. Well, let's go and have a look at what we came here for. This is what an undisturbed midden should look like. This one is about 11 metres long by 3 metres wide and about 50 centimetres high. Unlike that one that was smashed and shattered all along the road. This one's about 1,000 years old, and you can appreciate that some of the shells and stuff would have been breaking down over time, so that's why it's so low. But it's all compacted in the one spot here. It's been preserved here by council with its little bit of native vegetation so that we can all enjoy it for many years to come. You can see the various shells of oysters, pippies, and even some fish bones that have been discarded over the years. So did anyone guess why the early settlers raided these middens? Pearls, you might think? No, not quite. It was for calcium. See, shells and bones are made up mainly of calcium, and over time as they break down, the calcium would be released. And what they would do is they would use that calcium to fertilise their crops. So let's have a closer look at these stone tools that I found. I found 10 stone tools all up, and here are my 5 best specimens. You can see how it's got that nice sharp edge along there. Not sharp enough to cut my finger though. Well, what's going to happen with these stone tools now? I'm going to contact the traditional landowners and see what they would like to do with them. It's very thought-provoking holding these primitive stone tools. The Aboriginal people couldn't have survived without them. As primitive and as simple as these things are, they were a necessity. They needed them to survive. And in their wildest dreams, when they threw them out, that in many years to come, some white guy would be holding them going, wow, look at this. It makes you wonder where we're heading in the future. Well, that's about all today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.